Hello, everyone. My name is John Dunbar, and welcome to another episode of A Choirmaster's Tale, a series dedicated to exploring hymns and anthems appropriate for this liturgical season. We're in the season of Epiphany, and for the past couple of weeks, our lessons and gospel readings have focused primarily on love and discipleship, and the two go hand in glove, don't they? Behind me is the organ console at the Church of Our Savior in San Gabriel, California. And it was here where I first began to seriously explore the power of music in our church, as I also discerned for the priesthood in the late 1970s, early 1980s. And music sure plays a huge part in discipleship, doesn't it? So for this episode, I'd like to focus on a few of my favorite discipleship hymns, perhaps some of yours as well. Let's begin with the very familiar Sister, Let Me Be Your Servant, which is hymn 500 in our hymnal. It's a folk style hymn written by the English-born New Zealander, a teacher and songwriter named Richard Gillard in 1976, and since has become one of the most beloved discipleship hymns. Here is a video by the congregation and choir of First Plymouth Church in Lincoln, Nebraska. The first line of both the first and last verses has been changed from the version in our hymnal, but the rest is essentially the same. And what a great hymn that is. I think one of my favorite discipleship hymns for sure. So as we continue, another very popular hymn is one that's often requested. Take my life and let it be. It's hymn 435 in our hymnal, written by the prolific English hymn writer Francis Ridley Havergal and published in 1874. The tune is called Mozart and comes from the Kyrie of what is often known as Mozart's 12th Mass. However, a little musicology here. Most scholars now agree that the Mass wasn't written by Mozart at all, but rather by a German composer named Wenzel Müller between 1791 and 1803 sometime. Who was Müller, you might ask? Well, suffice it to say that while not in the same class as his compatriot Mozart, he was a prolific composer who wrote 166 operas. Here's a performance of this wonderful hymn by the St. Michael's Singers. Take myself and I will be ever only all for thee. What a wonderful hymn. In my opinion, though, the consummate discipleship text is Jesus calls us over the tumult, written by the Irish poet Cecil Francis Alexander in 1852. Following a dinner conversation with her Anglican clergyman husband, remembering the disciples who were asked to leave everything to follow Jesus. So let's listen to a version of this that we grew up with. Most of us grew up with this in the Anglican or the Episcopal hymnal. So let's listen to this first. Unfortunately, it's not in our hymnal any longer, but here we go. So that's how how most of us probably grew up with this, isn't it? So that's just one of those old-fashioned hymns that we all came to love. The version in our hymnal, however, hymn 472, is set to the hymn tune St. Oswald. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find a decent video, but here is briefly what it sounds like on the organ. Impressive and a beautiful hymn in its own right. There are two completely different versions of the hymn in the American Episcopal hymnal, one to the hymn tune Restoration and the second to the Scottish tune St. Andrews, and both are worth mentioning. The tune Restoration is from the American hymn collection Southern Harmony of 1835, and it's really quite striking, especially in light of the current events. But here's a video hosted by Trinity Episcopal Church in Upperville, Virginia in January 2021 of this hymn to the tune Restoration. So simple and yet so beautiful. It really is a gorgeous, gorgeous hymn. So the other version, and perhaps the most powerful, arguably the most powerful, happens to be my personal favorite. It's written to the hymn tune St. Andrew by Edward Henry Thorne in 1875. It's often sung as an office hymn on St. Andrew's Day. But here's a wonderful performance of this to this hymn tune, to the hymn tune St. Andrew, performed by the Scottish Festival Singers.
Saving grace and power.
That's probably what a hymn should sound like, right? Now, let's hear a recording of something different. A hymn called Let Us Talents and Tongues Employ. It's a rousing call to the table, written by Doreen Potter, who, although born in Panama, was raised in Jamaica. The tune takes root from a Jamaican folk melody. It's accompanied by a boisterous organ, a dancing flute, and congas in this particular recording. Jesus lives again. Earth can breathe again. Pass the word around. Loaves abound. Unfortunately, it isn't in our hymnal, but it's often requested, and I do play it at St. John's once every summer if I possibly can. Let's listen now to a performance by the St. Olaf Choir, conducted by Anton Armstrong from a 2001 Naxos release. Well, that's exciting. Finally, no discussion about hymns for discipleship would be complete without including Will You Come and Follow Me, written by the Scotsman John Bell and set to the traditional Scottish tune, Kelvingrove. The original text was published under the name The Summons, and it contains 13 questions asked by Jesus in the first person. There are 5 verses in our hymnal. The first 4 are in Jesus' voice, while the 5th is our response. But the 4th verse has always caused me to sit up and pay attention. All the way back in seminary, I was called attention to this verse, and it's amazing. Will you love the you hide if I but call your name? Will you quell the fear inside and never be the same? Will you use the faith you've found to reshape the world around through my sight and touch and sound in you and you in me? Now think about that as we watch and listen to this performance from the Glasgow Cathedral, taken from the BBC television program. The television program is called Songs of Praise. And with that, we bring this week's episode to a close. We welcome your comments, your prayers, and your financial participation. We hope you'll consider supporting the ministry of the parish of Muskoka Lakes. And we'll see you again next time.